Hello, everybody, and welcome to Precision Marketing Group's webinar, Facts and Figures, No Fluff, Answers to the Top 5 Content Marketing Challenges for Manufacturers. My name is Oren Smith, Marketing Manager here at PMG, and I'll be your moderator for today's presentation. We've been excited about this webinar, and we hope you'll enjoy this session and gain some fresh insights and inspiration for your own marketing program. In the interest of giving you as much data as possible on this subject, we have included references to all statistics used in the presentation, but I can let you know now that they have been selected from 2 different studies on marketing and manufacturing: Content Marketing Institute's B2B Manufacturing Content Marketing 2016 Benchmarks, Budgets, and Trends in North America, and IHS Engineering 360's 2014 Trends in Industrial Marketing. Now, let's get right down to introducing today's presenters. Here I have with me the wonderful co-founders and managing partners at Precision Marketing Group, Susan LaPlante-Doobie and Maureen Condon. The two joined forces back in 2002, and it has been marketing magic ever since. Having focused on a number of industries, professional services, technology, and most importantly for today, industrial manufacturing, these two women have leveraged their backgrounds in corporate communications and industrial marketing to create and implement practical content marketing strategies and programs that deliver results for their clients. For today's webinar, we'll begin by explaining why content marketing matters in business today, and then Susan and Maureen will dive into the manufacturing industry buyer's journey and take a look at how people in this market are really searching for information. Then we'll get into the meat of the webinar by presenting our solutions to the top 5 content marketing challenges experienced by manufacturers. We'll follow that up with some concrete key takeaways you can apply to your strategy, and then we'll let you know how and where you can learn more. And then we'll use our remaining time to answer questions submitted by our registrants. Now, without further ado, I will hand over the mic to our content marketing experts for today, Susan and Maureen.
Great. Thanks, Oren. So we wanted to give you some context to begin on why content marketing matters. And it really has to do with the evolution of marketing over the last several years. Originally, marketing was very much called outbound marketing. It was very much interruption-based marketing. It was the direct mail piece that landed in your mailbox. It was the telemarketer that called when you were working on a project and had no need for the thing, the product or service they were offering, or even if you had a need, it just wasn't top of mind at that moment. And where it's evolved is to inbound marketing. It's evolved to, and we all do this, people going online and searching for answers to their questions. And inbound marketing is about making sure your company is found, being present when people are online, seeking a solution to a problem. And that's why content has been so important. The way you get found is by providing lots of quality, relevant content that your audience is looking for.
And as you can see in the slide here, 70% of engineers, so if you're speaking specifically about the manufacturing space, we're seeing similar trends. So 70% of engineers go online to research manufacturing partners. And we dove a little bit deeper even into that stat and found that age matters as well. So for the over 49 age group, they're typically in the marketing space, manufacturing marketing space, they're typically looking to online to research partners and companies to work with. So doing research and vetting people, whereas the under 49 crowd is looking to solve problems, answer questions, find solutions to things that they might be struggling with in their business. So, a good company in this space will really reach both of those audiences and serve both of those types of research needs with their content.
Yeah, and Maureen's going to talk about, really understanding your audience and what they're looking for. So what we're looking at is this explosion of content, and its purpose is to educate, engage, but ideally to also generate leads. And, we also gathered some statistics from people who registered for this webinar and asked what their greatest marketing challenges were. And 71% of people indicated that their greatest marketing challenge is lead generation. And it's really going to be driven by content going forward. So the shift that we've seen in this outbound to inbound content marketing has been a little bit slower in the manufacturing space, but it's absolutely it's absolutely existing. And companies that don't start really focusing on their online presence are going to be behind. So we kind of set up the why it's important. And one of the first, before we get into some of the challenges, one of the first tips that we want to provide and kind of context we want to give you is people have different questions along their buyer journey. They're looking for different information when they're first trying to solve a problem versus when they're engaged with a company trying to figure out if that company can deliver a solution. There's going to be different pieces of information, and you need to make sure that your content isn't only meeting the needs of the buyer, it's meeting the needs of the buyer at each stage of the buying cycle.
And what's critical too, I think, Susan, is that I'm thinking the company, you as a company need to think about not so much how you want to sell. You might have some ideas on how you want to sell. Well, we're going to do this first, and then we're going to have a meeting, and then we're going to do this, and we're going to tell them this, and we're going to tell them this. What your marketing really needs to do is answer the buy. Put yourself in the buyer's shoes. It's about them. It's not about you. So who are the typical types of buyers, and where are they on their own buyer's journey, and what questions do they have along the way?
Well, one of the things we always say is we don't care how easy it is for someone to sell their product or service. We care how easy it is for someone to buy your product and service. And you have to, that's a really good point, because you have to think from that perspective.
And I think also too, in the manufacturing space and with engineers in particular, naturally engineers get very excited about the solutions and the features and all the technical details of their solution and their products and services. And it's not to say you can't share all that information, but it just has to be staged and delivered in a way that makes sense for the buyer where they are, so that it's meaningful to them.
Yeah. And what we're looking at here from a buyer's journey is a very simplistic approach, 3 stages. You want to sit down. One of the first things you want to do as you're thinking about your content marketing strategy is sit down and really think about the stages of the buying process for your company. You will naturally start thinking about the sales process, but then make sure that it's very much customer oriented. I think IDC said it best: the buyer's journey is nothing more than a series of questions that must be answered. So you just need to understand what those questions are. One of the things that didn't come up in the surveys that we're using as the basis for a lot of this content, but absolutely came up when people registered for this event, is that 26% of the registrants indicated that one of their biggest challenge was creating campaigns. And we will talk about campaigns, because that's really what you're looking at here: creating a campaign that's cohesive, that brings people all the way through the process and supports your salespeople in what they're doing. So let's dive into some of the challenges we've seen. Here we go.
All right, so here's sort of an overview of the top 5 challenges that manufacturers spoke about related to content marketing. And what we're going to do is dive into each one specifically. We'll give you some key takeaways from each of these challenges so that you can address each challenge in sort of a practical way, have something to do after this webinar. And I will say too that these challenges were definitely consistent with what registrants to the webinar told us were their challenges. So as Susan mentioned, producing great engaging campaigns, generating leads, making sure you're getting an ROI from content. So clearly this is real life stuff we're seeing here, as was bore out with the registrants, and what you guys told us was important to you. So we'll dive into each one and give you some takeaways. The first one is producing engaging content. So producing engaging content, how can you create content that's going to get your buyers excited, get them to do what you want them to do in their buyer's journey, so that they can connect with you and take desired actions. The critical thing here, the one thing to remember about producing engaging content, and we've sort of been talking about it already, is understanding your buyer and put yourself in the buyer's shoes. In the marketing in manufacturing space, we talk a lot about engineers because engineers are clearly a primary audience that you're going to be marketing to and selling to, but you don't want to forget the other types of buyers in the companies you're going after. So people in the C-suite, the business owner, the finance person who might be holding the purse strings and making those decisions on what gets purchased, the actual purchasing department, procurement department, those people, and what are they looking at? So really understanding who you're trying to connect with, where are they, what messages are going to resonate with them, what topics are going to be important to them. And one thing in manufacturing, specifically, is you want no nonsense content, for your buyers. I think no matter who your buyer is, really understanding that you want to have some facts and not a lot of fluff. That is something that resonates really well. So,
and I just want to add something, Maureen. Maureen was talking about developing these kind of personas based on the job title, the engineer, the procurement manager, the owner, the finance person. But earlier, we talked about the fact that the under 49 and the over 49 search differently. So it may not naturally, your personas, your audience may not naturally fall by job title. There may be some other commonality that you want to create those personas around, whether it's age group or a design engineer versus a mechanical engineer. So you don't want to go crazy with these. You want to start simple, but really look at what some of the commonalities in content or content needs are.
And what would be most practical for your company is really the way you want to create your buyer personas. So we've seen them done in a few different ways. So you want to identify the core buyers and create these buyer personas. And I know that sounds sort of like a marketing speak term, but really what it is just, as you can see on the screen, it's just a compilation of characteristics about a group of buyers. So you want to start by really taking that group and interviewing a few clients that you already have, or prospects you have, or connections you have that fall into that persona, and do some interviews with them, some conversations with them, asking them, how do they make decisions? How do they do research? Where do they find answers? How are they measured in their job? What is really important to them? What problems are they trying to solve, and what questions do they have? And really compiling the answers from those conversations into a buyer persona. So it's a fictional character, if you will, but it has real life facts about your buyers.
Well, and you can even see here, if you look at the goals of Evan the engineer, his goal is to maximize efficiency. That immediately starts to tell you the type of content that's going to resonate with him. Whereas Pam in procurement, she really needs to meet revenue goals and train new buyers. Well, knowing that training new buyers or purchasing people is really important, you may be able to offer content that says how to select a supplier of X. So it's the first start in generating the awesome content ideas that you want.
The ideas, yeah, absolutely. So really identifying the group of buyers you want to go after, doing those interviews to gather the information about them, and then creating a simple list of, you can make it really complex or keep it really simple. A list of pain points, questions that your buyers have at various stages in the buyer's journey. So remember that at each stage, whether they're in the awareness stage where they're just realizing they have a problem or something that they're trying to solve, to the consideration stage where they're thinking, okay, I do need some outside help with this. How do I make a decision on who to work with? To the decision stage where they're really evaluating a couple of different providers. What kind of content can you be providing, and what kind of answers can you be giving at each stage? So
to kind of give you the context of how where this challenge falls among your peers that registered for this webinar, 33% of the registrants indicated that creating content was their big challenge. And I think we'll talk a little bit about techniques on how to create content.
Absolutely, how to create it and create quality content consistently. So, one example we have from one of our industrial clients in the technology space was, after doing buyer personas, we really pivoted their entire messaging. So their messaging had really been focused on, they really thought the biggest value companies got from working with them was that their profits they could help them increase their profits, which of course is important. But after interviewing a nice group of clients, a good sized group of clients, we realized that really what the clients, their audience, cared about was that this solution that they provided helped them increase the efficiency of their processes and made their jobs much easier, which of course will lead to profits. But the core message has to be about, for this particular company, how we can increase the process of deal registration in this case. So really understanding what the buyers care about can help you pivot your entire company messaging and create a great content marketing program.
Well, and I think that's a great example of probably at the beginning of the program. At the beginning of the buying cycle for that company,
Mm-hmm.
the content had to be all about efficiency because that's what people were looking for, but then they could lead them down to how that efficiency improved
The
profits.
benefits, yeah, the benefits of increasing your process efficiency.